Welcome to this presentation of Win the World. I'll introduce you to the concept and features and then demonstrate how an actual game unfolds. Win the World is a new, unique online game. It's multiplayer and can be played across platforms. Inspired by classical board games, Win the World is played in rounds, each about 1 minute. A typical game takes 20 to 30 minutes. Win the World takes place in our real world. There are 230 countries in the game, organized by region and continent. Each country has a value. This value is based on two factors: the size of a country, called weight, and society quality. The game uses objective real-world sources, keeping the game data fresh and updated. This makes Win the World a great place to learn about the world. The objective of the game is to collect countries, one by one, against other players. To collect a country, players must be able to afford its value and correctly answer a trivia question about it. There are also strategic elements like investing or divesting in countries to control society trouble, generating income and growth, and taking countries over from opponents. There are two ways to play: on a world map with all countries, or playing one of the 5 continents, which will give you a faster game. Asia is an example. Games can be won in several ways: by collecting half the map's area, population, or economy. In a world game, you also win if you have 30 countries or 3 regions. Reaching 500,000 in your treasury is another way to win. If none of these criteria have been met, the game ends after round 60, and the winner here is the one with the highest total value. In a continent game, the corresponding criteria are 15 countries, 100,000, and 30 rounds. This means a Win the World game in a world map ends after max 60 minutes, and a continent game after max 30 minutes. Typically, one of the other winning criteria will end the game sooner though. You can play the game against random people from all over the world, or you can create your own game room to play against classmates or friends. Playing is free of charge with a basic account, or you can unlock benefits and skip advertising with a premium account. Let me show you what a game looks like. What you'll see is based on actual data and game mechanics, but the graphics and player interfaces are simulated. The game takes place on a world map. Here you can see all the countries, but you will normally zoom in to better access your choices. You are player 1, and your game color is green. You are one of 10 players in this game, each with a number and a color. Round 1 kicks off with a 30-second time slot, in which players choose their start country. Not all countries qualify as start countries, so only the ones marked in your color are valid to you. All 10 players select in the same time slot, so it's first come, first served. Player 8 just chose Bolivia, so this country is no longer available to you. You zoom into Europe to get a better view of your options here. Player 9 just selected Slovakia, SK. You decide to take a look at Austria. Most important to you now is the cost. But the country card also offers much more information about the country. If this is the country you want, you can select it here. You select Austria, and the cost, 4,400, is paid from your treasury. The other players now also have their start countries. Only player 9 in Slovakia is close. The other start countries are far away in other regions. At the end of each round, country values grow 5%. For you, this means that Austria's value increases by 220. A high country value is good for a number of things, including making the country more expensive for other players to capture from you. Countries also generate income for your treasury. A high country value and a good society will give you higher income. Austria generates 888 for you. The other players also get their income. With all start countries in place, the competition begins in round 2. You have 30 seconds to decide your move. Most rounds, you will try to collect another country. It must border one of your countries, and you must be able to afford it with your current treasury. In this round, you cannot afford Austria's neighbors Germany, DE, and Italy, IT, but there are 6 other options, including player 9's Slovakia. There are 3 kinds of borders. Let's take Denmark, DK, as an example. Denmark has a land border with Germany, DE. It has a sea border with Sweden, SE. And because Greenland, GL, is an autonomous part of Denmark, there is a dependency border between Denmark and Greenland. This type of border is quite rare, and only these 6 countries have dependencies. And these are the dependency countries. If you're in doubt, you can always check the country card. Back in the game, instead of collecting a country, you also have a cheaper option to transit to a neighboring country. Transit means that you pass through a neighbor country in order to move on from there in the following round. You can also make a choice to neither collect nor transit by simply letting time run out. You decide to try and collect Switzerland. This will cost you up to 4,550, and this cost is shown in your play display. When the timer runs out, all players' choices are revealed. All players will try to collect a second country. No one has chosen to transit or pass. Of special interest to you are players 9 and 10. Player 9 will attempt to take over your start country, Austria. And player 10 goes for the Netherlands, NL. His start country, Curacao, is far away in the Caribbean, but it has a dependency border with the Netherlands. In order for you to collect your chosen country, Switzerland, you must correctly answer a question about it. You have 10 seconds. If you answer correctly before time runs out, the country is yours. If you answer incorrectly or do not pick a choice, you don't get the country. The faster you answer, the cheaper this will be. You are in doubt and use almost all 10 seconds, 9.9 to be exact, before you make a choice. Unfortunately, you chose incorrectly. And since you spend a lot of time, you pay almost the full value. Your treasury is deducted the cost of the attempt. The other players got their questions in the same period, and the results are now revealed. 6 players managed to answer correctly and now have a second country in their collection, including player 10 in the Netherlands. Player 9, who tried to get your start country Austria, luckily for you, failed, and his collection costs are added to your treasury. Country values grow 5%. For Austria, this means 231. As in the first round, countries also generate income for your treasury. Austria generates 941 for you. Time to see who's leading the game so far. To repeat, the game can be won in 6 ways. Being the first to have half the world in terms of either area, population, or economy. Or the first to have 30 countries, or 3 full regions. Or to have 500,000 in the treasury. If the game reaches 60 rounds and no other winning criterion has been met, the player with the highest total value wins. We are very early in the game, but player 8 leads in area and population, player 10 leads in economy, and player 7 has the most treasury cash. Player 6 has the highest total value, treasury and country values combined. And there is no clear leader in number of countries or regions. This is a picture of all 230 countries, their continents and regions, and which players have collected what. Having a full region gives you double income in those countries. And as mentioned before, collecting 3 regions is one way to win a game. Much of the game will use these 2-letter acronyms for countries and 3-letter acronyms for regions. The full name can be seen at all times by simply selecting the acronym of the region or of the country. Round 3. You want to have another try at Switzerland. Player 9 goes for Czechia, CZ, and player 10 chooses Belgium, BE. You get this question, and after 5 seconds, you make your choice. And this time, you answered correctly. As you used half the time, you got Switzerland at half its value. Your treasury is deducted the cost of the collection attempt. The other players have answered their country questions in the same period, and the results are now revealed. 6 players got their countries, and 4 did not. Country values grow 5%, except Barbados, owned by player 6. Society trouble has caused Barbados to go bankrupt, and it loses 50% of its value. Society trouble can be avoided by investing in countries. More about that later. You get your usual income. Barbados generates much less now that its value has dropped. Getting Switzerland was a good idea. You now lead the game in terms of economy, and you also have the highest total value. You now have 2 of the 9 countries in the Western Europe region. Round 4. The usual 30 seconds to make your choice. But there is a new thing causing attention in Switzerland. Despite Switzerland's outstanding society, trouble can still happen, and it's going to hurt your income. You want to solve the issue, and investing is how. The slider underneath the trouble gauge is your tool to invest or divest. If you slide it left, you divest. This means you move money from the country to your treasury, but you increase the risk of trouble. If you divest to half the value, this risk will go up from 1.1% to 4.1%. Divest all the value, and the risk will go up to 8.3%. You will also lose all income and growth here. Sliding it to the right means investment. You decide to do so. And by investing 722 in the country, you have eliminated all trouble here. You do not make any collection attempts or transits this round. The same is true for player 2. All other players will try to get one more country this round. Player 9 goes for Hungary, HU, and also makes a divestment, moving 2,000 from Czechia to his treasury. While the other players get 10 seconds to answer trivia questions to get their country, you are free to explore the map. These are the results. Players 6, 7, and 10 got one more country. Players 3 and 5 both tried to take a country from player 7, but failed. This means player 7 gets their collection costs. Austria's value increases as usual, but Switzerland cannot grow any further because you have invested to its maximum value. There is trouble in Fiji and in the Federated States of Micronesia. Austria gives you income, but Switzerland gives you a loss of 1,650. You have fixed the issue, so you know next round will be better. Trouble types are different, and some affect growth, others income. Player 6 did not fix the issues in Barbados, and its citizens are so unhappy that they refuse to be part of his plans anymore. Instead, they will join the player who has the least trouble, and that is you. So from next round, you will have Barbados. Congratulations. When a country shifts owner, it is restored to its original value. Barbados is restored to its value of 1,700. This is how Barbados looks like under the ownership of player 6. With a value of just 947, trouble risk is over 26%. When you get the country restored at 1,700, trouble risk is much lower. But there is room for improvement. Consider investing in Barbados if you do not like trouble. Let's see the status after round 4. Player 6 is doing well, but still just lost Barbados to you. Anything can happen. Every round, players try to collect countries by answering questions, and they manage their countries by investing or divesting. Fast forward to round 9. Player 7 takes player 3's last country, Fiji. With no countries left, player 3 is out of the game. Player 7 now has all the countries in Melanesia, and she is the first one to have a full region. All countries here give double income. Every 10 rounds, flight mode is enabled. This means that you can transit to any countries on the map instead of only to neighboring countries. This can be a good way to get to a desirable location fast. Player 7 uses this opportunity to transit from Oceania to Zimbabwe in Africa. From next round, she can start collecting Zimbabwe's neighbors. Fast forward to round 19. As the players round by round get more money, they can afford bigger countries, which again provide more income. You're now in the lead when it comes to economy and treasury. Player 7 now has 2 regions, one more, and she wins the game. Fast forward to round 24. You collect Russia, the largest country by area. The previous 2 rounds, you got Canada and the United States of America. And these big countries really put you in the leading position. Player 4 now has all of Central America, and Player 7 has 2 regions in Oceania. Let's jump back in the action. In round 27, Player 10 hopes to take Russia from you. You want to get China, but so does Player 7. So who will get it? You both get a question in the same time period, and whoever answers correctly first wins the country. You get this question. Knowing you're competing for China with Player 7, you answer immediately. Seems you were too fast. You got it wrong. Player 7 used a bit more time, but she got it right, and now collects China. Your collection costs go to her, but at least your fast answer means that you only have to pay a small amount. 2 rounds later, you have another go at China. But again, you're not alone. This time you're against Player 9. You get this question. This time, you use slightly longer to pick your answer. And you got it right. Player 9 answered slower than you, using almost all 10 seconds. Not only do you get China, you also get more than 100,000 from Player 9. In the next round, you get India, while Player 7 fails to get China back from you. Again, you get a lot of money from this attempt. Especially because of China and India, you now have a very large population. And you're close to the 50% it takes to win. You also lead in economy, treasury, and total value. In round 31, you fail to get Bangladesh, BD. But again, Player 7 saves you by one more failed attempt on China, with lots of cash your way. This puts your treasury over 500,000. And if you can keep that, you will have won the game. As in all other rounds, country values grow. Most of your countries have reached their maximum though, and therefore cannot grow any further. Most countries are doing very well, but in 3 places there's trouble. Your country, China, is among them, and you get a big negative income here. Despite this, you still end above 500,000. No one else reached a winning criterion, and you therefore win the game by a treasury victory. Congratulations. 94 countries were played in this game. More to explore another time. The timeline, based on player value, shows how things went for you and the others throughout the game. So, those were the core elements of Win the World. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it.